Hello and welcome to the Branton podcast series. Today we are looking at Industry 4.0. We're looking at the autonomous box plant of the future. And I am delighted to welcome Stefan. Stefan, thank you for joining us today. Obviously, Stefan, your background, very much a computer data driven kind of person. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of what does Industry 4.0 actually mean to the corrugated sector, tell us a little bit about Openpack and some of the history.
Yeah, hi Dan. Thanks for being here today. Pleasure to talk to you today. Let me just have some words on myself. My name is Stefan Uebelacker. I'm 48 years old, married, 3 children, passionate football and tennis player. Maybe more passionate than talented, I think. But yeah, in my free time, I am the CEO of Openpack. To my person, my professional background is 100% digital. So I have been working throughout my professional life with data all the time. For example, customer data with the CRM issues, online marketing data, e-commerce, product data, etc. So Openpack is my passion and my business since 2 years. We have been starting Openpack in early 2020, and I have been leading Openpack since that time to build an open digital ecosystem for the corrugated industry. And the goal of Openpack is very easy. We want to make corrugated plants more productive. We want to make processes more convenient. And what we are trying to do is we want to enable easy connections and data exchange between all the players there.
So, Stefan, obviously the COVID pandemic has radically changed the way that, as consumers, that we buy products. Obviously, that's had a massive impact on the producers of corrugated packaging and the way in which those companies are actually working with the likes of Amazon and Google, etc. Industry 4.0, we've been talking about it. We've been, hearing presentations for several years now. What does Industry 4.0 actually mean to the modern corrugated box plant and the whole supply chain?
Industry 4.0 is really a big buzzword. And to be honest, in my opinion, when we will do Industry 4.0 in the corrugated industry, there is one key technology which we have to use. And this means connecting different systems, bringing data together and try to learn from data which is already there. So what we have to do is we have to connect the players in the industry, gain data and information out of these connected systems, then share this information to all the players, and as a whole, get more productive, get faster, reduce costs, and, which is very important, we can make life more convenient and more easy for all the employees in the industry.
And do you feel that it's also leading towards the holy grail, the autonomous box plant? I mean, is that where data takes us? Is that where, so it's all looking at the information, it's looking at automation. Is an autonomous box plant a reality?
Let me be very clear on that. It's a yes and a no. What do I mean with that? Yes, clearly it can be achieved, but there will always be people in the economy and there will always be people in the plants, but there will be far less, and there will be people with other qualifications than today, because many processes will be automized, they will be faster, they will be more digital, and that needs far less people, but with other skills. And we are already on the way to this autonomous production. The journey has already begun. Let me make a comparison with the worldwide automotive industry. The plans for autonomous driving, they are maybe 20 years old or even older. Think of all the players they are working on this issue. It's all the big brands like Toyota, Volkswagen, Ford, even the new players, Tesla. But that's not all. There is Google, or better said, Alphabet with its Waymo project. There is Apple with the Apple car. And compared with the production of corrugated board, for me, it's quite simple to just follow a street with your car, for example, on a highway. But what is the current situation? There is no autonomous car on the public street yet, but the journey towards autonomous driving, this has begun long ago. And you have a lot of features in your car that you are already using. And these features are the result of this development. For example, driver assistance systems, cruise control, traffic sign recognition, automatic braking systems, etc. So there is no autonomous car yet, at least not on public streets, but we are on the way. And this direction is irreversible. And coming back to the corrugated sector, it's nearly the same in our industry. There are a lot of players that are working on digitalization, automation, and these are the main factors for an autonomous plant. But what we can see currently are two big challenges. First is a lack of standardization. That means common data formats, APIs, rules for communication, etc. You can compare that also with the car industry, where you have quite a couple of charging systems for electronic vehicles. Second, it's just the willingness to connect, to cooperate, and to share data. In my opinion, not everyone has to invent the wheel on its own, and not everyone needs to collect and store data in own systems, because it needs skills, especially IT skills, and it costs a lot of effort, costs a lot of time and money. The solution for this is quite simple, but not easy to establish. It needs an independent player that takes care of standardization and connectivity. And this is exactly where digital platforms like Openpack come into play. And one word to my company, Openpack is the independent digital platform of the corrugated industry. And we can help here at both ends. So coming back to your question, I think we are already on the way to a nearly autonomous plant with significantly reduced workforce. This will become a reality. We are neither talking about months nor about decades. In my opinion, it's a matter of years, but only for those who are willing to go this way. Others will maybe be pushed out of the market.
Yeah, because I think again the impact of the COVID pandemic, we've seen an awful lot of people who either have changed careers, they've stayed at home, and obviously as an industry we have lost some very important skill sets. So maybe what you're talking about here is for the modern box plant owner. It's not just about recruitment of people to actually operate the machines. We've also got to be looking at people who understand data, understand what to do with it, how to gather it, how to analyze that data. But Stefan, when we're talking about the APIs, and we're looking at how data is being captured by machines, obviously new machines, it's fine, because it doesn't matter whether it's BHS or Bobst or Fosber or Mitsubishi, they're all talking Industry 4.0. But obviously, some of your skill sets very much come to the fore when we're talking about, for example, machines that are maybe 5 or 6 years old that have still got data capability, but it's what do you do with it? So tell us a little bit about some of the work that you've done with some of the manufacturers to help gather that information.
Yeah, that's a real good point. You mentioned 5-year-old machines, but in fact, what we learned, there are a lot of even older machines in the field, maybe 10 years, 15 years, even 20 years and older. These machines are not rare. So when we're talking about these old machines or older machines that do not provide data on their own, we just have to think of other solutions, how we can come to this data. The answer for this is retrofitting. So you can use different kind of sensors on machines to get exactly the important basic information you need. For example, about speed, about temperature, about energy consumption, etc. And in the plants of our customers, it's always a very big variety of machines of different ages, as well as machines and systems of different OEMs. So we always have to deal with this issue. And what we learned from our customer is they do not want to deal with tens of different systems, and they do not want to take care of different systems of different OEMs. They want a single point of access. They want a very convenient solution and an independent overview of all the machines. And this is exactly our field of play. So let me bring in an additional point. It's not only getting the data from the machines. The biggest challenge, in my opinion, is to get the relevant data out of the machines and then make this data accessible for different systems and share the data at exactly that time that is needed. But then you have spoken of a loss of skilled employees in our industry. Maybe that's another quite interesting and important point. That if you mind, I would just say a few words on this, because I think that's quite a challenge, and this is not a challenge of our sector, because this is a challenge which extends across many sectors, maybe across the whole Western economy. It's an international thing. I'm thinking of aging of our society, etc. So in the industrialized countries, we have seen a decline in birth rates, and for quite a long time, as well as an increase of age of life, and as a result, the population which is available for the labor market is getting fewer and smaller. So manufacturing industries as a whole, and I think corrugated in particular, are struggling to find qualified employees. And you can read that in multiple reports that up to 90% of manufacturers have difficulty in filling job vacancies, and this leads to a lot of pressure to these companies. But in my eyes, this is nothing we have to be too scared about, because we have the keys already in our hands. What does it mean? I think, and I'm a strong believer, that Industry 4.0 can help us. One very, very simple example. If you think of the process of sending a message to your business partner, maybe 30 years ago, you had to write a letter, and you did this on a paper. You had to print it. You put it in an envelope. You put a stamp on it. Then you had to bring it to the post office, and then wait maybe 1, 2, or even 3 days for delivery. And after that, maybe the same time and the same process back to you. You needed time, you needed material, you needed people. But how is it done today? It's just simple. You write an email and you expect delivery within seconds. So this is just possible because of a digitized process and connected players. So that's my point. I'm truly convinced that digital processes will solve the shortage of skilled workers. Machines and automates will replace human labor in more and more places to a certain degree. This ongoing process will completely change and reduce the demand for skilled labor. Even moderate labor saving innovations can help there. But does every company have enough IT resources to start this development? For sure not. But again, it's a matter of willingness to be open to new technologies, and there are already lots of solutions out there that can help you with that.
Okay, so Stefan, I think we've covered quite a lot in this podcast, but the $10 million question that I'd like to ask you, and having had conversations with executives from companies like KiwiPlan and Vitron and OMP and EFI, etc., it's this extraordinary reluctance from owners of corrugated box plants to spend money on systems. They always seem happy to spend a lot of money on a new corrugator or a new printing machine or a new die cutter. Yet when it comes to the annual upgrade of their plant scheduling system, it always seems to be at the bottom of the list. So obviously you must have come across this when you've been talking to box plant owners. So how do we help change the mindset of, and I'm not talking about the integrated companies so much, really the independent sector. How do we explain to them and how do we encourage them that software is a good thing and it's not just a bottomless pit of money?
Yeah, that's quite a challenging issue, but as I said, it needs willingness, and you said we need a change of mind, and I think the key to this is we have to look at data. Some say data is the new oil, and I would say in many cases yes, but data is much more than oil because it's much more valuable if it's used properly. And I will give you 3 examples. Oil is a finite resource, but data it's virtually infinite. It can be used multiple times. It can be enriched. It can be doubled and scaled. Second, unlike oil, data is created and not consumed. Oil is naturally limited, whereas data is created with every click you do in the web, with every search in Google, with any use of an app, etc. And the third point is data comes with ethical, privacy and security issues. And this means one has to take care of multiple security issues when you store data, when you transfer data, and when you use data. So coming back to your questions, I think we have to focus on data on its own and what we can do with this data. And to give a short a guideline for the plants, it's just 2 things what they have to do. First is they need a clear target, what they want to learn from data, and to be honest, the questions, they are usually quite simple, and they don't need as much data as many companies would make you believe. But it is important to ask the right questions and get the right information from the data, not hundreds per day or thousands per machine, but the really important ones that are relevant, that are easy to understand and that help grow business. And second point, always be aware that data is just fucking numbers, nothing more. If you want to work with data, you have to refine your data. This is again a parallelism to oil. Data alone is not worth a penny. You have to take information out of the data, and to make better decisions, you need to get knowledge out of the information. So raw data alone doesn't help you. It's just numbers. Let me give you an example. 58. It's just a number. But the information behind this number is that's your current warehouse load in %. And the knowledge out of this could be, how long can I produce at a given speed until my warehouse is running full? And when do I have to throttle my speed? Or when do I have to clear my warehouse to avoid any jam? So in a nutshell, for plant owners, it's it's important to collect data, yes, but if they clearly work with this data, if they bring information out of this, and if they learn from this information to get clear hints for action, then they can really make value out of this. And in a best case, they make sure that this data is shared and this data is available to all relevant players and systems, so that they can even reduce costs with this.
Well, Stefan, thank you so much indeed. It's been hugely insightful. Obviously, I think there's a lot of box plants out there who are on the cusp of really understanding what Industry 4.0 means, what the box plant of the future looks like. And as you quite rightly said during your questions earlier on, we're not that far away. So, Stefan, thank you so much indeed. And obviously, we look forward to staying in touch with you. And thank you once again.
Thank you, Dan. Bye-bye.